Hello there, I'm Ryan Liberty, and in this video I'm going to, right now, talk about my experience with agoraphobia. Let's get to it. Alright, so let's talk about my experience with agoraphobia. So, there's one period in my life where I felt like I've had agoraphobia, and I say that I felt like I had it because I was not seeing a therapist and I was not officially diagnosed or anything at the time. But reading over the information about agoraphobia that I did to make a video recently here, and also panic disorder, I realized, oh, I think these things were going on in my life at that time. So I'm going to share what that felt like for me and what I was experiencing in hopes that you can get a better picture of what it is and if it's going on in your life or the life of somebody that you know. So the period of time where I think it showed up in my life is when I was going away to college, and I was dorming at my college. So I was leaving my home, and my home was kind of like my safe space. And now going away to college, I was put into this new environment. I didn't have any friends or anybody going with me, so it was completely new. I was completely on my own. And I think I had a background of generalized anxiety already occurring, so my anxiety level was already higher than most people. And this is when the agoraphobia started to show up most prominently in my life. So I had my dorm room, and then I had classes and, food buildings, and they were all scattered apart, so you had to walk outside to get to each of them. And the reason why I feel like I had agoraphobia was because my anxiety was most pronounced when I had to walk between buildings, because I was out in the open and I felt very vulnerable being out in the open. My anxiety level would rise. I felt incredibly self-conscious. I felt like people could notice that I had anxiety, and it would frustrate me. I'd have headphones on to listen to music, and I think that was a bad idea now looking back, because the headphones made me hear my own breathing more acutely. And hearing my own breathing, I felt like, oh gosh, people can hear that I'm breathing heavily. Like, I had some of that embarrassment that comes along with agoraphobia came in. And then I would struggle harder to breathe. And at one point I thought that I had an asthma problem, which now I don't think that at all, because I never had asthma before this and I never had asthma after this. I think it was really agoraphobia that was causing all of this. So I would freak out. I would freak out when I had to go anywhere. I would spend like a good hour and a half just thinking about how I had to go. If I had to go get food, I would spend an hour and a half thinking about how I was going to walk to the building that had the food. And was I going to be able to do that? Could I psych myself up to go out and do it? Every time I went to class, the same experience. Now, compound all of that with the fact that I was going to college at the same time that 9/11 happened here in the United States, and the World Trade Center was attacked in New York. Now, I was 40 minutes north of New York City, so everybody in this area felt very vulnerable after that experience. I felt incredibly vulnerable anytime I was in an open space, and I was constantly, every weekend, going back home on Long Island, taking the train and walking through New York City. So being in that open environment that was just recently attacked and everybody was a little bit on edge kind of magnified these symptoms of agoraphobia and made me feel even more uncomfortable and more unsafe, and feeling like I needed to get to a place of safety. My place of safety was always my room, basically. Anywhere, like my bed, my room, that was it. And when I would get back to that place of safety, I'd often find myself like gasping for air. So it's so crazy to describe to somebody who hasn't experienced it, but there's this gasping for air, this feeling like everything is caving in on you. And I'd also like to mention another reason why I think this period of my life was agoraphobia. Agoraphobia often happens with panic attacks, and this was the only time in my life that I ever experienced anything like a panic attack, so I'm going to get into that right now. It was the day that I had a test, and it was an important test. It was a final, and I had studied really hard for it, and I vividly remember sitting at the desk, opening the test, seeing the questions, and I knew I had the answers in my head, but the anxiety was so high by the time I got to this point that I couldn't access the answers. I knew they were there, and it was like everything went blank. And the only thing I could do was freak out and feel my body reacting. The sweating, I could feel my heart beating hard, which is not normal for me. That was really scary. And everything felt tight. I felt like doom. It felt like doom just fell over me. And the only thing that I could do, and maybe it was a good thing because maybe this prevented a full-blown panic attack, was I was writing my teacher a note at the top of the test, like train of thought, because my thoughts were spinning like crazy, and I was like, I knew the answers, and I don't know what's going on. I can't access the answers right now, and I'm freaking out. And honestly, I don't even know what happened to that test, what grade I got, or what the teacher thought. But I just remember the experience of being completely freaked out, feeling like the whole world is caving in on me, feeling like everybody can see what's going on. So to me, that's the closest thing that I ever experienced to a panic attack, and I think it was it coinciding with this agoraphobia that was going on, because every time I had to walk to a class, walk anywhere to have my daily life functioning in this college, I had to walk places, I had to go places. It was a frightening experience. You know, I would go to the mall, I'm just thinking about it now, I would go out to the mall and walk around the mall feeling so self-conscious and feeling so like sweating and freaking out and just feeling like there was no safety. That's really what it's all about, is not feeling safe. So the thing that I will say is that I don't feel like that anymore. I don't hesitate to go out. I don't spend an hour and thinking about how I'm going to make it outside or anything. When I am out, I'm not worried. I don't feel like I'm not safe. I can breathe fine. There's none of those symptoms are going on anymore. So I just want to give you hope, if this is something that you're going through, or a loved one you know is going through this, that it's something that can be managed. I didn't see a therapist, but there is cognitive behavioral therapy. There are medications that you can take, and somebody can help you and put a program together to help you deal with this. So there is hope. I appreciate you taking the time to learn about this condition, and I hope that I've given you, through my experience, a more human, whole approach, a whole perspective on what this is. And I hope that allows you to have a little bit more empathy and compassion for anybody going through it. So thank you for your interest in this topic, and I'll see you around. Take care. Hey, it's Ryan Liberty. If you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, and leave any questions or comments below, because that would really help me out. If you find that you're stressed trying to achieve your goals, I have a free tool for you today that will help you get your goals done, so click to get that. And if you'd like to see the rest of my videos, click subscribe. As always, I want to remind you that your life matters. Nobody can question your worth. However it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, it's okay, and you are loved. Thanks again for watching.